We now know some of what Comey is going to say when he testifies under oath about Donald Trump. Again, that's going to be in that Senate room that we showed you. And the debate is already heating up over how damaging the former FBI director's revelations will actually be to the Trump White House. But there's also a big question that will have the White House and millions of others watching. Does Comey even have more to tell about the man who fired him?
Is James Comey lying, Mr. President?
He may not be ready to answer that yet, but Comey's side of the story suggests that Trump has had the FBI's Russia investigation on his mind for months. From that awkward handshake the day after Trump's inauguration to when Trump blindsided Comey with that surprise firing less than 4 months later.
When I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
Now that his opening statement to the Senate Intelligence Committee has been released, we can see that Trump repeatedly pushed Comey to do one thing: publicly put the president in the clear on the FBI's Russia investigation. Instead, Comey's earlier testimony has done everything but.
The FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. And that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government.
And the countdown is on. 56 minutes before James Comey appears before that committee, and you are now looking at his residence in nearby Virginia. There's James Comey himself getting into the back of a white SUV. This vehicle will bring him to Capitol Hill. And then the testimony people have been waiting for. What will James Comey say? How will it affect the Trump presidency? And how will the White House react to everything it will hear later today? Now, of course, we're going to have live coverage for you, extensive coverage here on CBC News Network. Let's take a look at the vehicle leave the Comey residence. And with that, let's bring in Ellen Morrow. She's been leading our coverage this morning on Morning Live. She joins us in front of Capitol Hill. So, Ellen, let's begin with James Comey's opening testimony. We have a sense of what he's going to say before the Intelligence Committee of the Senate, because he did release that statement yesterday afternoon. A lot to be said about the 7 pages that were released late in the day. What did we learn out of that opening statement that we'll hear him read in about an hour's time?
Well, Michael, James Comey paints a picture of a relationship that made him uncomfortable from almost the very beginning. And he addresses a lot of what's been reported already. He'll say in his statement today that, yes, Donald Trump did ask him for a loyalty pledge at a dinner at the White House just 7 days into Trump's presidency. Comey saying that Trump said, "I need loyalty, I expect loyalty." And of course, the FBI director is supposed to be independent of any one president. Comey said that request made him feel very uneasy. He'll also discuss the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, saying that, yes, as has been reported, Donald Trump did ask him to let go of that investigation, saying Flynn is a good guy. I hope you can see your way clear to letting him go. And after that conversation, James Comey said he asked the Attorney General to never leave him alone with Donald Trump again, because he felt so uncomfortable. And that's perhaps the most damaging claim against Donald Trump, because it does raise the question of whether he illegally intended to impede a criminal investigation. We'll also hear Comey talk about 2 phone calls in which Donald Trump talked about the Russia investigation, calling it a cloud hanging over his administration, asking Comey what Comey could do to help lift the cloud. Trump also, according to Comey, asked Comey to get it out there publicly that Trump himself was not under investigation, which Comey does confirm he did tell the president on several occasions. Now, because Comey will give that confirmation, we've heard a reaction from Donald Trump's lawyers saying that the president feels vindicated by that. But that reaction largely ignores the rest of Comey's statement, in which he details these very tense, awkward conversations with the president, and if they happen the way Comey says they did, inappropriate conversations with the president.
So a lot that we're already learning in the release of this statement. Again, Comey will read that before the Senate Intelligence Committee in about 53 minutes' time. But that said, given what we already learned from the text of the statement, what are we watching out for then today as we listen to Comey for about 2 hours?
Well, Comey will be pressed for more details on the interactions he's already described. He'll also be asked about other one-on-one interactions with the president. He said he had 9 of them while he was still FBI director. So more details he'll be asked for on all of those conversations. The big question coming out of this testimony today, Michael, will be, does the president's actions, do they amount to an obstruction of justice? Now, Comey will likely be asked for his assessment on that. It's perhaps unlikely that he will make that kind of judgment. But again, that will be the big question. And that could mean that all of the congressional investigations that have been happening, that have been focused more on Russian meddling, could turn their attention to the president himself.